Very simply, because on the 23rd of June we have a choice. If we choose to remain, we are choosing for other people to think for us. If we choose to leave, we're going to have to learn to think for ourselves.
Well, just one word really, and the word is sovereignty. We don't have it at the moment, and I'd like to get it back. I haven't known in my lifetime, I was born in 1982, a time when the United Kingdom was a free, independent country, and I don't think that's right. I haven't had a say in it. No one of my generation's had a say in it either, and that can change. I think most people don't love the European Union. They don't love Brussels. They don't think there should be a supranational level of government hovering over Westminster, overruling it all the time. The only reason that they haven't done anything about it so far is project fear, uncertainty, and doubt that make them think, oh, our economy will implode if we leave. That's not the case at all. And what Flexcit does, this plan, is it shows there's a safe, staged way of leaving the European Union that happens calmly, rationally, without causing a great shock to our economy. If we can promote that message and show people that that's the case, then the fact that no one loves the EU in the first place will be enough to carry us out. At the moment, it's only fear and ignorance that keep us in. That's all that the Remain campaign has, in fact, fear and ignorance. We have hope and we have a better vision for Britain, a better vision for global trade, not just European protectionist trade, and we have a better vision for democracy as well, and that's why I'm voting leave.
I want to leave the EU because I want Britain to be a self-governing nation that trades and cooperates with nations in Europe and around the world. If the EU was just an international club for trade and cooperation, there wouldn't be a problem, there wouldn't be a referendum, I wouldn't be here today. Unfortunately, the EU's aim is to form a supreme government of Europe. And as we've seen, the more power it takes, the less safe, prosperous and free the peoples of Europe become. And clearly, as Cameron has shown, there's no realistic prospect of reforming the EU. This is the only chance I've had in my lifetime to vote on a supreme government of Europe. And it's probably going to be the last chance. And I don't actually believe the majority of Britain really wants a supreme government of Europe, but we are being scared into trying to remain. That's why something like today is so important. There is a safe plan, there is a safe way we can leave the EU without blowing up our economy. It's a solid plan, and it's one we need to push out so that we don't all wake up on June 24th regretting a decision made on fear. We don't have to make a decision based on fear. There's a safe way out. We can safely leave the EU.
I think the way that the media reports political matters now is very much based on personality rather than policy. And it's leaving a massive void in the argument where people aren't actually hearing the real arguments. They're hearing Boris Johnson says this thing, or President Obama says something else. But there's nothing that's really deep enough to awaken people to what's actually happening in the EU itself, how it works, how it affects Britain, and how much sovereignty we've actually lost.
By attending the talk today, I did learn a lot about exactly what we would need to do as a country to get out of the European Union. It was quite simple when you hear it in the media about we could just leave overnight and it would be very simple. And there are other people on the Remain side who say it would be very difficult. And it is going to be complex, I learned, but there is a way, there is a process that we can do to get out of the political union that we're in at the moment.
Personally, I thought it was a bit crass of him to tell another country how to vote. It would kind of be like if David Cameron went to Congress and said, I think you should ban guns because in England this works for us and there's not as many murders. I think the US media would react really poorly to this, as would everyone in the country. And I just don't think it's right, and I think global leaders should kind of not get involved in things like this, personally.
My name is Neil Worry, and I am the director of the Harrogate Agenda. Now, the Harrogate Agenda is stage 6 of Flexcit and asks for constitutional reform, because without constitutional reform, if we ever do leave the EU, we could be taken back in by the same politicians who took us in the first place. So the key reason that I want to leave the EU is to return democracy to as close to the people as possible rather than being at a distance in Brussels. For me, the key to leaving the EU is all about sovereignty, returning power to us, the people in this country. And although the Harrogate Agenda is stage 6 of the Flexit document. The important thing to realise is that constitutional change is an ongoing thing, and we should fight for the demands of the Harrogate Agenda as of now. We don't need to wait for the other 5 stages to fight through and get our demands of the Harrogate Agenda, the 6 demands, recognised by our politicians as being essential to return sovereignty to this country.